Hello and welcome back to Let's All Laugh At, the football podcast that thrives at the expense of someone else. I'm George, I'm joined by Dan and Johnny this week. How you guys doing?
Yeah, man, not bad. Not bad at all. Yourself?
I'm alright, yeah. I'm getting quite excited for the new season, if I'm being honest, because it's just around the corner. A little apprehensive as well, but I'm sure we'll get to that.
Yeah, I'm all good as well, cheers.
Yeah, awesome. So, let's get started with the Charity Shield on Saturday. The first bit of, well, it's not technically competitive football, but I guess you could say Premier League football since the end of the season, and it was both of your sides, Arsenal and Liverpool, going head-to-head. Ended 1-1 after extra time, with Arsenal going through on penalties. So, yeah, what did the two of you make of it?
I must admit, I was really impressed with Arsenal. I was thinking Liverpool would be too strong for us. I thought they'd be really up for it. But we dominated the game for large periods. I mean, when they scored, of course, they got back into the game and it got a little bit airy. But I thought, overall, we played really well. I thought we defended really well. I mean, El Neni, where's he been? Jesus Christ. It was unbelievable. But no, I was quite impressed. I mean, it's one of them things, isn't it, the Community Shield? If you win it, it's a nothing thing. But if you don't win it, that's like a mark up for your season, isn't it? So I'm happy to win it, of course, it's a trophy. But I'm sure when we play Liverpool again, it might be a little bit different.
Yeah, similar, obviously. Obviously not overly concerned that we didn't win it, because I went last year and we didn't win it then, and we had a decent season. So,
yeah, to say the least.
It doesn't really bother me, in truth. And especially this year, given the bizarre pre-season everyone's having, it was so much more of a friendly game this year, even than it has been previously. And I counted it a friendly anyway, but this year in particular, because I think we played 2 matches. I think Arsenal played 1.
Yeah,
so yeah, a complete friendly. But yeah, it was a pretty even game. I felt like had the game been 10 minutes longer, we'd have probably scored. We were dominating by that point. We missed Trent Alexander-Arnold. We missed Jordan Henderson more probably. Yeah, not overly concerned about it, if I'm honest. Looking forward to the season now, though.
Oh, yeah, same here. Can't wait.
Yeah, definitely can share that sentiment, as I've already said. Dan, a lot was made of, during the game, Neco Williams, I remember, was trending on Twitter at the time during the game. A lot was made of his performances. A lot of fans weren't that impressed. And then, obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Ryan Brewster as well. You know, so whether he'll go on loan, whether he'll stay for his place in the first team. Klopp definitely seems to rate him. So, what would you say is the sort of situation where you are with the youth players at this point? Because you haven't made that many signings. So, is it a case that you'll be relying more on them? And if you are, then how many of them can you actually see cementing their place this year?
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. I think Neco Williams is going to be used as backup to Trent. There's no doubt about that. And he was poor on Saturday. There's no getting around that. But he has been really good prior to that as well when he's come in. He played a couple of games towards the back end of the season. He was actually really impressive. So one performance, I'm not going to be too critical. As for Brewster, he's actually definitely going to stay, I think, now. I think Klopp's basically said, because he wasn't sure. I think he's now said he's going to stay for the first half of the season at least, until January, and then we'll assess then. He's scored goals at every level he's played at. Obviously, he hasn't played at the top level yet, i.e. the Premier League, so we'll see, I suppose. But prior to now, he has scored all the time. He was top goal scorer in the Under-17s World Cup, and then he got 10 for Swansea, so yeah, it's promising. And generally, for the youth players, listen, none of them are going to cement the place as such, because they're going to be used as squad players in rotation, but I do think we're going to see a lot of like Curtis Jones and Neco Williams like as a backup to Trent, like I say. And I think we should keep Brewster because currently the only option we have when things aren't going to plan is Origi, who's worked in the past, but I would like us to keep Brewster just to have that backup option, if you like. But yeah, listen, the Neco Williams thing, like I'll refer back to, he wasn't very good, but so be it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's the thing with young players is sometimes it's a fine balance between looking at them and saying, well, they're young, they've still got to learn, and making sure that they're actually good enough as well. I mean, you look at the likes of Everton with Tom Davis, an academy graduate, and I know a lot of their fans aren't too satisfied with him, as we've talked about before on the show. When it comes to Brewster, I know he's been linked with a move to us and a couple other clubs. Pretty much everyone. I think us and Sheffield United were probably the strongest links. But apparently you were going to ask about 25 million, which we certainly can't afford, and I don't think there's. I think the loan is the best we could hope for. But if Klopp wants to keep him, then I think the comparison to Origi is interesting, because I think that they're probably about the same sort of quality at this point in time. But obviously Brewster's much younger and has the potential to go on to do much more. So I think prioritising him over Origi is definitely the smart move, because you definitely got your uses out.
As Liverpool fans, we've known about Brewster for a long time, coming up through the ranks, and he scored, like I said, like I referred to, a lot of goals. He had a really bad injury about 18 months ago now, which stopped his progress quite a lot. But up until that point, he was the next big thing. So it'd be interesting to see, if he gets a bit of game time, what he can do. But yeah, I'm glad we're keeping him anyway, just to see.
Yeah,
totally.
I really like Brewster, I must admit. I mean, the penalty, he did a bit unlucky because he hits it so well. I mean, if he keeps it down, it's a great penalty. He's just lucky, really. And I'm a massive fan of him, to be fair. And he'll be a star. I think he'll get a decent run of games at Liverpool. I hope he does, because we always like to see young players get a chance. And I like him. I mean, of course, I like him a little bit more when he missed a penalty, of course. But he's a good player. And I did feel for him. It took some balls to take the penalty as well. I know there's no fans there. I know it wasn't a massively competitive game. But as a sub, as a young lad, I'm not. How old is he? Is he only 19, 20?
20.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a young lad. To even take a penalty in that sort of game, it takes a little bit of balls to do that. And I'm sure when there's a penalty again, he'll be first, put his name down first, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose putting a similar question to you, Johnny, particularly with the manager you have, Arteta, who's very much built around using youngsters a lot more. I mean, we saw the likes of Willock, Reece Nelson, obviously Saka has started again. He's hit the ground running. Eddie Nketiah started. Can you see? I mean, from the Arsenal perspective, what's the youth perspective in Arsenal like?
Well, I mean, our youngsters have played really well. I mean, Bukayo Saka has been unbelievable. I'm delighted to have him, to be honest. And Maitland-Niles as well. He's still only a young lad. He's only 22. I mean, Willock has impressed me a lot. He gets a lot of stick from Arsenal fans, but then again, every player in an Arsenal shirt gets stick from an Arsenal fan. Especially on this show. We're a weird bunch, honestly, us Arsenal fans. I mean, Nketiah was trending on Twitter as well on Saturday, and people were slagging him off. And he didn't play fantastically well, but he didn't play awfully. I thought he had that one chance. It was a good save as well, to be fair.
Yeah, well.
It's looking bright at Arsenal, the youngsters, I must admit. I mean, if you talk about Martinelli, I know he's not through the academy, Martinelli, but we've got a lot of young youngsters. That sounds silly to say, doesn't it? No, I think the future's bright, and Arteta, he's not afraid to throw these young players in, and you look at the players like your Mesut Ozils, who I still don't know what he's doing. I thought it was funny, his tweet the other day, Mesut Ozil, it was 7 years since he signed, and he'd do it all over again.
That was Wenger, yes.
I mean, is he writing his own tweets or is someone else doing it for him? Because it doesn't make any sense. But I'd say the future's bright at Arsenal. I love Arteta, what he's doing. He's transformed a few players that were probably not good enough under Emery. Maitland-Niles, I think we're going to keep him now, hopefully. Because I think Bellerin is off to PSG by all accounts. But the future's bright at Arsenal. I'm looking forward to the new season. Yeah,
because of course you had a bid rejected by Wolves for Maitland-Niles reportedly. So yeah, it would be. There's definitely. I like him personally. I mean, there was talk if there was a potential Zaha deal, then a lot of fans wanted Maitland-Niles to come the other way, not on loan, because then we wouldn't be able to sign him. But he is definitely a good player. So in contrast to Dan, who's not too worried about his start to the season, given that it's a friendly. On the opposite side, are you more encouraged by this?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I know it wasn't a massively competitive game, but I like what Arteta's doing to get that winning mentality. Win every game. It doesn't matter if it's a friendly. It doesn't matter. Just go along and win it and play football. And I was a little bit worried on Saturday. I was thinking, Liverpool will be up for this, but I thought we kind of carried on where we left off against Chelsea in the final, the FA Cup final, and I thought we played really well. Without Aubameyang, of course, I don't know where we'd be. I think we'd be in League Two without him, to be honest. But I thought we played really well. And Arteta, he's always shouting on the touchline. For me, I think the players feed off his energy as well, because he's always on the touchline. He's always giving encouragement in different languages as well. The players understand him. And I think I'm looking forward to the new season. I'm not saying we're going to be winning the league or anything like that, but I think we can definitely aim for that top four. And with the signings that we've got a difficult start. I mean, we've got Fulham first game, and then we've got Leeds, we've got Liverpool, we've got Man City, we've got everyone first, I think. But hopefully we can start off with a win, hopefully.
Yeah, so segueing into that, obviously there's not too much big news this week, so the best place to segue into is transfers. And we talked about Arsenal last week and about Gabriel. They finally confirmed by the club after all this time. And also talks of Ceballos coming back on loan from Real Madrid.
Oh yeah, I mean Ceballos. It took him a while to get into the groove at Arsenal. A bit of his sideways passing, but towards the end, after the lockdown, he really came into his own, and he was integral to us winning the FA Cup and played really well. Delighted to have him if he comes back. And obviously Gabriel, I must admit, I don't know much about him. Hopefully he's better than the other Gabriel we got a few years ago, because he was terrible.
I remember him. He was bad, yeah.
Yeah, he was terrible. Oh, that was terrible. Gives me nightmares, that does. But yeah, Gabriel, I mean, he's only young as well, but he looks okay. You can watch YouTube, can't you? You can see videos of these players. But YouTube has this amazing talent of making every player look good on YouTube. I look good on YouTube, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be okay, hopefully. Back four, he's looking better. I mean, if you had Maitland-Niles, Saliba, Gabriel, and Tierney, that's not a bad back four. It's better than Mustafi. Even Mustafi, to be fair, he's improved. But yeah, if we can get Aubameyang next, just get him to sign that new deal. I'll be a very, very happy Arsenal fan. It'll be great business if we can get that done.
Yeah, I mean the Bellerin one is a bit of a weird one, isn't it? Because the PSG thing, because he was one of your more highly rated players for a long time, and then just sort of petered out at the end. So
yeah, he did. I think he's had that bad injury, didn't he? And he's lost he's lost that yard of pace, I think.
He was rapid, wasn't he, for a while?
He was so quick, it was unbelievable. He did 3-4 yards, and he could still catch him. That injury, I think it might slow him down a little bit. And if he goes to PSG, I think he'll tear it up out there, because it's not the best league in the world, and I think he'll be amazing. I'll be glad to see him go, because he's been Arsenal for so long. He's only 25, but if they give us a ridiculous offer like 25-30 million, you can't really turn that down. Not if we're spending money on Gabriel and Ceballos, and I'll be glad to see him go. But Maitland-Niles has come into his own, hasn't he?
Do you think he'll play right back then, Maitland-Niles? I think that's where he's going to be.
I think so. I think that's where he wants to be. I know he was playing as a right winger.
He plays all over the place, hasn't he, really?
Well, apparently he said that he actually first playing right wing, but I think he's a better defender, to be honest. I think he's a really good defender. But I mean, hopefully he can nail that spot down. But I'm a massive fan of Maitland-Niles. I'm really happy he got called up for the England squad as well. It
can be quite detrimental, can't it? When you play loads of positions, because no one quite knows where you play.
Yeah,
it can almost act as a bad thing. It's good that you're versatile, but for so long, at some point, you've got to nail down one spot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like a Theo Walcott, really. Because he wanted to be a winger or wanted to be a striker or whatever, but he always played out on the wing because of his pace, and he'd play on the wing. But he kind of. I think that's the reason why Walcott wasn't as high a goal scorer for Arsenal as he probably should have been. He was maybe played in the wrong position, and he was always offside as well.
You did the same with Oxlade-Chamberlain as well. They had him at right wing back for a while.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and these boys they'll play anywhere for the manager, but I think some of them are too nice. I believe. I think they want to make the manager happy and help the team out. But really, they should be like, I don't want to play here because that's not my natural position. But if you want to play for these top clubs, you'll play anywhere, won't you?
Yeah, I mean, we might as well touch on that, because since the last podcast, Gareth Southgate has very much made us look like mugs. Both Jack Grealish and Conor Cody being called up to England alongside Maitland-Niles, as he said.
I think he listened, to be honest. I think these boys up there talking about. And
one of the 4 listens on Spotify, I think it was Gareth Southgate. Yeah.
It was. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, it's definitely good to see them up, and hopefully, I mean, it's one thing getting called up, but hopefully they actually get some minutes as well, because then they might actually get repeated calls up, because I think they do deserve it. But yeah, as for Liverpool, Dan, it's gone quite quiet on your end. I mean, the Thiago stuff has died down a bit, although there is definitely still reported interest, apparently.
It has died down in one sense, but in another sense, it's really escalated. So the actual Thiago to Liverpool links have subdued a little bit, but the Gini Wijnaldum to Barcelona links have escalated.
Yeah.
And it's those links that make the Thiago deal more possible in a roundabout sort of way. Mm-hmm. So obviously they're both central midfielders, and in a lot of ways do half a similar job. And there's a lot of talk when the Thiago stuff started that Wijnaldum would have to make way for that deal to happen, and not only monetary wise, but also in a positional sense. And that looks like it could potentially be happening. So obviously Koeman's gone in at Barca, and he wants the reunion the Dutch reunion with Wijnaldum. So Wijnaldum, in his last year of his contract as well with Liverpool, could be on his way to the new camp, which would give us, because Liverpool, as good as we've been for the past however long it is, still only really, we have to sell players to buy players, it seems. So we are looking, it looks like we're going to sell Wijnaldum potentially before we have the money to buy Thiago. So I'd be gutted to see Wijnaldum go if that does happen, but I do also really want Thiago. So it's a difficult one.
If there's one player that can make Liverpool even better, it's definitely Thiago. He can play. I mean, Wijnaldum, I mean, if you're a Newcastle fan, you must feel sick. Thinking, how can he go and be so bad for us, then go join Liverpool, play really well, and then go Barcelona?
I know.
Well, what was it last year? Wijnaldum and Sissoko both playing in the Champions League final. It's just mental.
Oh, crazy.
It's a weird one, Wijnaldum, because he's kind of restricted in what he can do for Liverpool. I've said on here before, we don't let him play what seems to be his natural game, because when he goes away for Holland, he scores goals. And he doesn't really do that. One game we let him bomb forward against Barcelona, he scored, but we never let him do that generally. But I agree with Thiago. As much as I think he's similar to Wijnaldum, he's got a range of passing that Wijnaldum doesn't have. So it's quite exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I want your opinion on Naby Keita, because he played quite well. He played quite bad, didn't he, on Saturday? I think he's got all talent in the world, Naby Keita, but he hasn't really set the world alight, has he? Yet, Liverpool.
Not at all. No, we expected a lot, but do you know what? I think the expectations were partly because we signed him the year before we got him.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were all really excited for his arrival. Like normally you have like a week to wait, when the rumours start, but we had like a year to wait for him. So it was so heightened by the time he got here. And he has struggled at times, but also he's done some really good things.
Yeah.
And he was a lot better. He wasn't great on Saturday, but he was a lot better after the lockdown.
Yeah.
Without the crowds. So I'm expecting him to have a big role actually this year, to be honest.
Yeah, he can play.
Because he carries the ball forward.
Yeah, he's a good player, to be fair. I mean, he can shoot as well. That's the thing. For Leipzig, he was...
Yeah.
I do think
he scored a lot of goals.
Yeah, I think he'll improve it. I do think he'll improve this season, no doubt.
Yeah, I do. I think this will be a big year for him, to be honest, because he was poor. He was poor last season, no doubt about it, on the main. So, but yeah, I'm quite excited to see how he does, to be honest. I think he'll have much more of an influential role.
Yeah, hopefully it's a good run of games that can get him back to that form. But it is a weird one with the Wijnaldum thing, like you said, because I think most Liverpool fans probably would take Thiago over Wijnaldum if you offered it to them. But at the same time, it's not strictly an upgrade either. But I also think, like you say, it would be more beneficial for him because when he's at Holland, he does score and he's playing under the same manager. So it is a move that makes sense for all parties. So, I mean, we've seen that a lot this window where it was quite slow to begin with, and all of a sudden one player moves and then it's a domino effect. We've seen that throughout the last week, especially. So that'll probably happen with Liverpool as well.
I can see that being the case, to be honest. And also, Klopp spoke the other day, and this window is so prolonged, and it's such a weird closed season that we're involved in. Klopp essentially hinted at potentially more arrivals. Normally, we get business done quite quickly, but everything's so strange this year. I wouldn't be surprised if we left it later than normal.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I suppose moving on to my club, Crystal Palace, we've had we had a busy week and not so busy week at the same time. There's been a lot of talk around us. The main one has been Conor Gallagher on loan from Chelsea. Hasn't been announced yet, but is due to. I think it's a combination of, number one, Chelsea want to tie him down to a new contract. He's out of contract at the end of the season. And also, he's away with the England under 23s, so or the 21s, whichever one it is. So we can't film an announcement or anything like that like we normally do. So I imagine once all that's done, he'll be announced. I mean, I'm seeing reliable reports saying it's happened. That's good enough for me. I don't see any reason not to believe it. We've had a bunch more rumours as well. There's one that's just come out today about Brazilian forward Evan Nilsson. Can't pretend I know who he is. I haven't even watched any YouTube clips of him, so because it's only just broke today. But CPFC Brazil, the past Brazilian account, apparently there is one, seems to rate him quite highly. Apparently the deal would be that he'll be loaned back to his club Fluminense for the coming season, so he can. I think that's a smart move. Let him develop a bit more because he's clearly a long-term signing, and apparently you won't be able to get a work permit until after then as well. So because apparently there's a deal with the deal that the Premier League are trying to make with the FA. It will enable, obviously because of the whole Brexit thing, it will enable clubs from outside, players from outside the EU to become a lot more affordable, and we're very much factoring that into our transfer strategy. We were trying to establish a whole new network in South America, and this is a result of that. Obviously, we had the keeper Lucas Perry from Sao Paulo on loan a while back, but that we didn't end up keeping him in the end. But that was very much the start of it. And then the whole, just before the show came on as well, the whole Alex Sorloth scenario, which we talked about before. Yeah. There's the whole situation with Leipzig. Apparently, he's now come out and said he wants to leave for Leipzig, which obviously Trabzonspor, the president says he has no intention of letting that happen. So watch this space. This is going to be an interesting transfer, I think. I mean, I can't see them. They've got they're under no obligation to let him go, and we have to pay a substantial fee to get him back, in my opinion. So I don't know what the difference is. I think we'll probably only make a slight profit on it anyways, but I don't know. The whole thing's so ridiculous, but we'll have to see how that one unfolds. But I'm excited for, not necessarily for the start of the season, because I think the most of our deals will happen after the season has started. I think the striker and the winger we need will not happen until late in the window. But I'm excited with how we're making moves, is that we're focusing more on youngsters, obviously the likes of Eze and Ferguson that have already joined. It's encouraging to see, and that we're with this South American network as well. Even if it doesn't work out that well, it is forward thinking, and I think given time, there's a lot of talent out there, as we all know. So, I mean, this new forward. I mean, apparently the City group were linked with him as well. Which, if that's true, then you'd like to think he's a decent player.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, Evan Nilsson, whatever his name is. His stats, last season, he scored 15 goals in 12 games for the under 20s. So that's not a bad stat, that. I mean,
I think he's made like 24 senior appearances in his whole career and has scored 9 goals, which is just less than 1 and 3, which for a 20-year-old isn't bad.
No, not bad at all. I think with Brazilians now, though, like I'm sure, like when you two were growing up, when you go, this Brazilian is the next Ronaldo, you're like, oh, I'm excited. But now, because Brazilians they are still good, don't get me wrong, but sometimes they're more like a Julio Baptista sometimes, and they're not very good. I mean, we've had a few duff ones over the years, Brazilians. Oh, God. The Nilsson, remember him? Oh, he was he could be the next Rivaldo. Oh, Rivaldo's half cousin, I think. It was awful, absolutely woeful. But yeah, I mean, Brazil, they do have some amazing talent out there. It's just finding them, isn't it? That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, you've had your fair share of Brazilians over the years, haven't you, Dan?
A couple, yeah, we had a couple. Like not as bad as that, I don't think. The ones he just mentioned. Fabio Aurelio was one of our worst, but he was also a legend, so I don't mind him.
Julio Baptista, anything he done was score 4 at Anfield. That's what he does.
He scores 4 against us. Hang on a minute,
yeah.
Your bad players have a habit of scoring 4 against us.
I know. Even Arshavin done that.
Arshavin, yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I still remember that game. What an unbelievable game that was.
I mean, I watched the highlights on YouTube a couple of weeks ago, in the whole 90 minutes, and Arshavin, even though he scored 4 goals that game, he was absolutely atrocious. He couldn't pass. It was awful. And every time he shot, he went in. It was terrible.
John, speaking about your young lads with goal scoring records, there's a young kid at Arsenal who's on his way out, that Balogun.
Yeah.
His goal scoring record in the junior level is ridiculous.
I know. I must admit, I don't know much about him, but I know that a lot of the Arsenal scouts that have now been sacked or whatever, they're not very happy with that be going.
No.
I must admit, I don't know much about him apart from he scores a lot of goals.
Yeah, a lot of goals. He scored like over a goal a game in the under-18s Premier League, as they call it. I did a thing on him today, and he's off to one of the Premier League clubs by the looks of it, like a mid to low table. But he has scored some serious goals. Like,
yeah, I mean, he's only young as well. He's only 19, 20, so he scores gutters. Just think, unfortunately, I mean, I'd love to keep him. I'd love to keep youngsters from the academy, but I think with our choices up front, I mean, it wasn't if Aubameyang stays, of course, but even Nketiah and Martinelli, is he going to get that much game time? Yeah, and
he's probably 19, but he wants to be playing football, doesn't he?
Yeah, and fair play to him. I mean, I respect that, because some youngsters and players, they'd go, well, I could just stay here and earn money and play for Arsenal. Where he wants to go, do you know what? I want to go and prove myself, and fair play to the lad if he does that. And by all accounts, he's an absolute star. So hopefully, I'm sure he'll go to Chelsea, and we'll sign him in about 50 years' time.
Well, if he's a young player going to Chelsea, I doubt he'll do that well there, given their history. And that's at Liverpool in a few years' time, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's increasing confidence that Aubameyang is going to sign a new deal, I think. So I think a loan away would probably be the best move for him.
Yeah, I mean, and with Aubameyang, I mean, if someone was going to come in for him, and he'd have gone by now, wouldn't he? Surely, because the season's only
You'd
around.
imagine so, yeah.
Whoever wants him would come and get him now, so he can train with the squad, and they can blend him in. But the longer it goes on, the more I think. I mean, by the sources I've got, it's a done deal. They're waiting for it to announce it. But knowing Arsenal the way I do, we won't announce it until the first game of the season. That's what we like. I don't know why we've announced things so late. But Aubameyang's got to stay. Without him, as I said earlier, I think last season, without his goals, we'd have finished 17th. I think, or something silly like that.
Yeah. Well, so moving on. I mean, we can't go a show nowadays without talking about the biggest transfer story, I guess you could say, of even though it's only been 2 shows since it happened, but the biggest transfer story of the window by far, the whole Messi saga, particularly as you weren't here to talk about it before, Dan. Apparently he has a release clause of, you ready for this? 700 million euros. Well, I mean, to be fair, that's not how much. I mean, it's a case of if that money is paid, they have to accept the offer. Yeah. It's not that that's the minimum price it has to start at. But you'd like to think they probably wouldn't listen to anything less than that, even if Messi is forcing to leave. But yeah, Dan, since you haven't had a chance to talk about it yet, I mean, do you have any thoughts on the whole scenario?
God, yeah. Where do you start, really? I'd like to start by saying he is the best footballer I've ever seen, and on from that, I can't see him leaving the club at all. I can't see him leaving Barcelona. That's partly because he's been there forever. I think the situation will get resolved one way or the other. He'll probably get what he wants in terms of the president. He'll get the guy he wants in.
Unfortunately, there's been talk of him seeing out the end of this window. The end of this next season, and then he'll get his move.
Well, then he'll get his move free, obviously. But by then, I mean, it sounds absolutely mental to say, because the fella, like I've already mentioned, is the best I've ever seen and can do things with football that, I've not seen before. But by the end of the season, he's going to be 34, I imagine, pushing 35. And
34 in June. Yeah.
Yeah, do you really want to be signing him at that point? I mean, probably for the commercial value, but in terms of football, certainly if you're a Premier League club, do you actually want to sign someone at that age then? Probably not. If you're going to get him, it would be now for 1 and maybe 2 seasons worth. If he's going to go anywhere, it's going to be City, which pains me to say, but it will be, because they're the only ones who can afford and would be willing to afford them ridiculous wages and transfer fee, etc. So yeah, I don't think he'll leave. Hand on heart, I don't think he'll go. I think it'll be resolved without him having to go anywhere, because Barcelona aren't going to let him go for free like he wanted to right now. They're going to make someone pay probably 700 million, which no one, even City, won't do that, I don't think.
Do you think they'll take 700 million and £1?
I'm waiting for the ridiculous Arsenal offer.
I saw a tweet or something like that Arsenal offered him 20 million plus Ainsley Maitland-Niles or Reece Nelson or something like that. It was like, that made me laugh.
He's versatile.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's the whole Guardiola link with City as well, which needs no explanation. I think with the Messi thing will be, I mean, Johnny mentioned that you didn't think he was going to leave. I didn't agree with it at the time, but I think as it's gone on more, I think I am leaning more towards it. I think it'll be one of those situations where it just drags throughout the whole window, and it will eventually be there'll be a non-resolution, or like a resolution in principle to leave afterwards. I don't know.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, sorry, Dan. With Messi as well, because if he comes out and he wants to leave, he doesn't class himself as a Barcelona player anymore. It'll be interesting when fans go back to the Nou Camp. What he'll get? Will he still get? Will he get booed? And that could change the whole thing, couldn't it? Because if he goes playing there, I imagine
they'll still love him. Yeah, because they love him, don't they?
Yeah, no, yeah, it would be painful if he gets booed. Imagine that. That'd be.
If you pardon the pun, it's a very messy situation, regardless of whether he stays or not. Because the fact is, it looks like he wanted to go right now, and that's not good. That is not a good situation. So I do think it'll get resolved and he'll stay. He might just see out this season and then leave, but the whole thing isn't good. Isn't not a good look for a club like Barcelona as well. It's really poor.
Yeah. I mean, it almost reminds me of a certain Wilfried Zaha, the situation where the whole thing goes on. Maybe he'll officially hand in a transfer request on the last day or something. And I mean,
will he stay this year?
Well, the problem, I mean, it's clearly wants to. We've discussed before on the show. He clearly wants to leave, but I can't see anyone actually coming in and paying the money we want. I think probably the best thing would be to sign a new contract that has a reduced release clause.
Right.
So that, he is still 27 years old, so he is coming into his prime. So he has still got a couple of years left in him for him to get his move. But I think the thing as well is he doesn't want, unless he's to get Champions League, he doesn't want to leave London if he can afford it. So there's so many little things that have to go right for him to leave, and I just can't see them all being met this year, particularly with the price.
Does Easy or Eze not play in the same position as him?
He plays more of as an inside left player. Like, he starts out wide and then sort of cuts in, whereas Zaha likes to stay out wide and whip the ball in, and sometimes cut in from when he actually scores. But Eze's more like a number 10 winger hybrid.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen bits of both. Obviously, probably a lot more of Zaha. But from my recollection, they just seem very similar footballers to me.
They're very similar style. Yeah, they're very they're very tricky. They're very naturally talented, and I think they will get. I'm glad they'll get at least a season or at least half a season to link up together, because I think they could do. I think Eze will benefit a lot from Zaha as well. I think he can learn a lot from him.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Well, with Eze, I've seen he's a decent player as well, and I think because he's got a lot of talent. Do you think it might bring Zaha down a peg or two? Actually, I'm not the best player right now. I better shut my mouth a little bit here, because I'm good, but maybe I'm not. This new kid, he's actually quite decent, so I better.
Well, it depends. I don't think he'll. Well, I say hit the ground running. I think he'll still do well, but I don't think he'll quite be Zaha standard straight away. I think it will take him a bit of time to adapt to the surroundings, but. I get what you're saying. I think if he does do well enough, Zaha might think that, might encourage him to do better, because I think ultimately if we want to sell him, we've got to get him back to his best that he was before this season, because this season has been poor by his standards. I think we can all agree on that.
Wasn't he this year, Zaha?
Well, I think the main problem is we've lost so many of our other attacking threats, the likes of Batshuayi, Loftus-Cheek, and the ones that we do have, like Andros Townsend, have just dipped so much in this season. And I think because he's our only attacking threat, defenders just pile 4 players on him and mark him out of the game, and that's how they beat us a lot of times. Southampton did the exact same thing when they came to Selhurst, and then it works. So that's ultimately why he hasn't done as well as he had before. But I think he will do better this season, because now they've got that extra threat to worry about in Eze, where you think you've dealt with one and the other comes around the corner. So I think that will help.
Definitely, yeah, definitely a threat. Them two. Zaha always worries me whenever we play Palace, because you can do something out of nothing, and Eze seems similar. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, what I'm hoping is that. First of all, I hope the football will improve, because it's no coincidence that the football's gone downhill since Loftus-Cheek left, because Roy hasn't had a player like that since he left, that extra creativity in the middle of the park, and I think Eze will provide that. And I think that the comments he's made suggests that he wants him to play, he wants him to give him the freedom of that part of the pitch and just let him do his own thing, even if he starts him out wide, which is really encouraging, because that's what he needs. And the other thing as well is that I think I hope it just gets some excitement back into the club as a whole, both on the pitch and for the fans and stuff, because I think he is a very exciting player, and him and Zaha together could be exactly what we need for at least a season while we look at finding a replacement. So yeah, apart from that, the transfer window has definitely exploded. Just to name some deals that have happened today. Van der Beek is the big one for Man United, joining Ajax for 40 million euros. Slightly less high profile, Matty Cash joining Villa from Forest, which I think is a decent signing. I was impressed with him a lot in the Championship. Timothy Castagna, I think that's how you pronounce his name, I'm probably getting that wrong. To Leicester from Atalanta, right back. So not quite Chilwell replacement yet, but I'm sure they'll have him. I forget who the one they've got lined up is. I forget his name. But I'm sure he'll be confirmed soon, because they still got about 25 million left from him, still got about half the money. So, and the weird one, I don't know if any of you have this nominated as the Let's All Laugh At for yours. If it is, I'm sorry, I'm spoiling it. But the whole Dejan Garner situation with West Ham. It's due to have a medical at West Brom tomorrow for a deal rising to £18 million. So it might not even reach that. Probably won't even reach that. I just think it's insane. I watched him a lot at West Brom last year. I thought he was really impressive. I thought he is similar to Eze. They're different kinds of players, but they're both similarly talented. And I think he can make the step up to the Premier League. And with West Ham, with the situation they're in, with how skint they apparently seem to be, you'd think they'd want to rely on their academy players as much as possible. And I know they've been linked with Ben Rama, but as good as he is, and I think he would do well in the Premier League, if you've got a wing already at the club, they're going to be in net loss, because if he's going to cost them at least 20 million, the whole thing just smacks of dodgy business dealings to me. I know Will Salthouse, the agent, has been involved at Palace a lot in the past, and is now getting involved with the people at West Ham. It's just a crazy situation.
West Ham. I go West Ham quite a lot with my stepdad, and You know, they're a passionate bunch, West Ham, and you know, and the board, they're a bit of a joke themselves. I mean, they've been in is it 4 years they've been there now? The new stadium, is it 3-4 years? It's something like that, isn't it?
2016 I moved in, yeah, so it was 4 years.
You know, 4 years, and they was like, we need to move into this stadium to kick on, and you know, sign decent players. And now
I'm sure you know what that sounds like, don't you?
Yeah, and then they come up with a statement saying, you know, we need to invest in our youth so we can stay up. And you would have one of your star academy. That doesn't make any sense to me. If I was a West Ham fan, I know a few of them, and there's a few West Ham forums on Facebook, and they are fuming, and like, rightly so as well, because you know he's a talent, and you know West Ham were very lucky to stay up last season. Let's be honest. And you know if you're going to lose one of your bright sparks, you know they're going to struggle next season, especially with no fans as well. They're going to really struggle, West Ham, and playing Championship football in 2 years' time could be a nightmare for them.
Like George touched on there, it's just a really strange deal, from my opinion, because they're after a winger, well, they need flair in that part of the field, in my opinion. So they're selling Dean Garner, who's quite, I don't know how young he is exactly, but he's younger than Ben Rahman from Brentford. And they give him a 6-year contract last year, and now they're selling him to a rival in West Brom, because let's face it, they're both going to be down there in one way, shape or form. And then they want to sell him and then bring in a very similar player who's slightly older for more money. Doesn't make any sense.
When you put it like that, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's
ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's just West Ham all over. I mean, they're just.
I can't, and like I say, not forget him and the Ben Rama thing. Like, they're selling to a rival. I don't know where West Ham think they're going to be, but they're going to be quite near West Brom.
Exactly, yeah, they are. I mean, it's just crazy. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Yeah, I mean, not too much needs to be said about West Ham. I mean, in a sense, in terms of the not spending, I mean, they've spent so much over the past 2 years. You can understand why they wouldn't have that much left, particularly as with the whole Haller situation. Apparently, they still have outstanding payments to be made there, at least £30 million. Yeah, it's mental. And also as well, the players they've sold, like a Jetty and players like that, they've made, and Hugill as well, they've made a massive loss on. So the whole thing just stinks of no forward thinking, no plan, no. I mean, that's the thing. Ultimately, now that the owners have got their move to the stadium, they just want to get out as soon as they can. But I think they've got a clause somewhere in their contract saying that it's going to cost them more to sell if they sell now. So unless a substantial bid comes in, it's just a case of holding things out until they can sell the club, basically.
Yeah, and I think the recruitment at West Ham over the past 4 years. You know, they spent a lot of money in that one summer. They bought that Faguli. Remember Sofiane Faguli? They bought Zaza in. They bought some proper bad players in, and I think none of them players they bought are still there now. To be honest, I think they're all gone. Yeah, it's a very it's a weird situation. They're a weird club, West Ham, and yeah, to sell Garner to a rival, it's mind blowing, really, isn't it?
They've become a weird club since they moved from Upton Park. I quite like West Ham at Upton Park. I think they had an identity and they had something about them.
Yeah. It was a nice place to go to. We went to Upton Park as a away fan. You know, the fans. It was close to the stadium. It was close to the pitch. It was quite a. The atmosphere was intense.
Yeah.
Stadium.
It gave West Ham. Yeah, it gave West Ham as a team something about them. But now it just seems to be a bit of a nothing club all of a sudden.
Yeah, they are absolutely. And I mean, I go there quite a lot, as I say, with my stepdad, and you know, you're so far away from the pitch. You need binoculars sometimes, and it's you know, and the atmosphere's not the same. You know, kind of like the Arsenal, really. Like, you get the people that you get your diehards that still go. You know, the 30-odd thousand they still go, but then you get a lot of fans that are just going for a day out, and they're not there. They're there to sing, and the tourist fans that don't just go there, buy a programme, buy a burger for 25 quid, and go home.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Palace fans aren't that sad at the West Ham scenario because of the that's why I say the rivalry, but like the fights found on social media. I can't say I'm one of them. I don't like seeing any club being run like that, especially when I know what that's like the past couple of windows, us not signing players. So I know exactly how it feels, and it's not nice waking up every day and going online, checking your club news, and just seeing it progressively getting worse and worse. It's never nice.
Yeah. Newcastle and West Ham are in a competition. Who can be the biggest joke? I think they're both. I think one week it's like, no, it's your turn. You can do it this week, and then next week we'll do it.
Well, Newcastle look like they might. I mean, they're apparently talking to Fraser. They might be selling Ryan Fraser soon on a free, which I know he had a bad end at Bournemouth, but I still think on a free transfer it's a decent signing. And also Callum Wilson as well. Apparently Matt Ritchie might be going the other way. So at least they look like they might be doing some at least somewhat positive business.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Shame we don't have Andrew on to talk about that, but I'm sure he could shed some light on how much worse his club is than West Ham, as everyone seems to want to have a worse club. But yeah, before we move on, Dan, word on your new signing, Van der Beek?
Oh, yeah. Very good, yeah. You had me for a second. I thought we'd announced Thiago then.
Yeah, I mean,
Just for a second.
just imagine that. It just comes out of nowhere. Like, all of a sudden on the Liverpool account, it's just announced. Like,
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. I remember when we lost the Champions League final to Real Madrid a couple of years ago, the next day, and I mean, out of nowhere, we announced Fabinho, and it was just
I remember that, yeah.
So you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, Van der Beek, he's a good player. He's a very, very decent player. But is he what Man United need? I don't think they need defence.
No,
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because they've got so many in there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy.
Like
I mean,
Fernandes, Pogba.
they got he's a good signing, and he probably will do well. But you look at their back four. I mean, I've got a Man United fan who thinks Harry Maguire's the best defender since I don't know, but
Your garden shed?
Telling me wrong.
Yeah. I said to him, surely he's a good player and he'll do well, but surely you need to buy a defender or something because
I mean, Thiago Silva was available on a free. Why not go for him?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be more the same for Man United. I don't anticipate them to make top four, given how the other teams around them are strengthening. I think it'll be a tight race again. I don't think Leicester will be in the mix again. I think Europa League will be a bit tougher for them to handle. I think they'll be more around the sort of 9th, 10th area. But yeah, we'll see. So moving on to the Let's All Laugh At. For those who are new here, this is where we each pick a moment that we found particularly amusing throughout the week, and we talk about a nominator to see who wins the award. So we'll start with you, Johnny. Have you got anyone?
It's not really been on the news, but a colleague of mine who's an Everton fan, bless him. I thought, Danny, I'll be glad to get your opinion on this. He came out earlier at work and said that Lucas Digne, or Digne, whatever his name is better than Kieran Tierney. And I just thought, are you absolutely being serious? He was deadly serious. Lucas Digne is better than Kieran Tierney, and Everton are going to be pushing him for the top four. That's genuinely what he said. And I was like, I think you need to lay off the drugs, pal, because you are not quite right in the head. Yeah, that's mine. It's not a great one this week, but I had to share it because I was like, wow, how deluded is that?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me one jot, to be honest. The Digne thing rather has been around for a while now, and he's an half decent player. And I think when Everton get a half decent player, they kind of have to glow him up to the highest possible height, because I've heard him compared to Robertson, and I've heard him called the best left back in the Premier League before, let alone anyone else.
He said as well. Yeah, he said that. Yeah, he's best left back in the league, and I was like,
yeah,
wow.
So it doesn't surprise me, and the top four thing is just nuts, really, isn't it?
I did laugh at him, and he was deadly serious.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me though.
And with Everton like that, they got that Rodriguez coming in, who is a very, very good player. But when he rocks up at the Everton training ground and goes, so where's Tony Cruz and Benzema? Oh no, I'm dealing with Iwobi and Theo Walcott. Oh, okay.
The problem is with the Rodriguez signing is when did he, and I've said this on before, when did he last play football regularly? He hasn't done it for so long. He's going to find the Premier League so difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's mine this week. It's not a great one, but I have to say
it's all right. It's a bit of an obscure one, but we'll go with it. Yeah, what have you got anything, Dan?
Mine is an old favourite of ours on here, and we've already touched on the topic loosely, but
yeah, I think I know where this is going.
Just bringing it back up. It's Jim White.
Yep.
What's he done now?
Jim White today was talking about the West Ham and Grady Diangana situation, and he basically spent an hour defending his mates David Gold and Sullivan, and basically telling West Ham fans to lay off him and to get behind the club, the players, the owners, etc. And obviously, as you can imagine, the West Ham fans were fuming with him. And I've seen quite a lot of high-profile people on Twitter having a go at him as well. Because he was ranting on TalkSport today to tell West Ham fans to leave the owners alone. It was outrageous to watch or listen to, rather. It was unbelievable.
Oh, he's something else, isn't he, Jim White? He's wow.
It's just another case. He's so out of touch with everything. He's telling the fans who spend the money to go and watch West Ham to not have an opinion, essentially.
Yeah. What can you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's classic Jim White, isn't it? Classic talk sport. They're saying this because they know they want to get West Ham fans calling in, and they know it's going to be outrageous.
It is, but this was a bit more impassioned than that.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, in the broadest sense, in the very broadest sense, I understand that, in the sense that the team does still need support, and you're still going to get behind them. But I think a lot of West Ham fans acknowledge that as well. They make it very clear they do support the team, and I've seen a lot of their fans they feel sorry for David Moyes. It's a case of the way the club is being run.
I get that, but to sit there and to get behind the owners, I thought was outrageous.
Yeah, and with West Ham, I feel sorry for them because same as Arsenal over the past few years, you pay champagne money, didn't you, to watch Lemonade football? You just I mean,
the owners at West Ham, didn't they have a 6-year plan a few years ago to get them in the Champions League, and it's obviously not materialised.
Well, the 6-year plan was to get them into the stadium, and then Yeah, I mean, the thing about West Ham is, from hearing from them, because I follow a lot of West Ham accounts, and hearing them talk about it, it's very much an outsider versus insider thing. Because from an outside perspective, you see them spend all this money on players like Haller and Felipe Anderson, and you wonder, well, what the hell are they moaning about? But actually, when you look deeper into it, it's the way the club operates and the priorities that they have, and it's so backwards in terms of how a football club should be run. And once you take a closer look and peel back the layers a bit, you can see the mess that it really is in. And obviously people like Jim White haven't got the time or the interest to actually do their research. So
that's the problem.
Yeah. Well, speaking of football pundits not doing their research, I've been waiting a hell of a long time to talk about this one for my nomination. Sure, you guys have seen going around. If you've been on social media, you've definitely seen this going around. Jim's friend at Sky, Kaveh Solikol. I'm sure I butchered that pronunciation, but I don't care in this shame because he's come out accusing Football Palace Palace blogger Hopkin looking to curl one, HLTCO. I've got his statement up here, and I'll read it. It's a shame I've had to put up for a year with targeted abuse and harassment with racist undertones from Crystal Palace fan account HLTCO. My crime was to report last summer what we were told by Will Zaha's family and representatives. He wanted to leave Arsenal and Everton, wanted to leave, and Arsenal and Everton made bids for him, and Palace wanted James McCarthy and Cenk Tosun. Well, first of all, that's exactly why he was calling you out in the first place, is because all that turned out to be a pack of lies. Palace didn't want the deal. I mean, I'm sure Everton offered the deal, but Palace turned around and said no. That's why he's still here. And the whole racist undertones thing, I mean, my God. First of all, no evidence presented whatsoever. Still hasn't come forward and shown any of his tweets that have been racial. It's just, I mean, we see this a lot in football, that people who just, it's so blatantly untrue. It's so very much playing the victim to benefit himself and covering up for his lie that he knows he's been lying about. And Jim White, our old friend, even came out and defended him, and he got slated as well. So many fan accounts and away from Palace came out and defended him, and I'm glad they did. And honestly, I hope he sues for libel, because that is blatant, blatant slander, and I think he should be. Yeah.
That Harvey comes across as quite bitter to me on Sky Sports.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know what it is about him, but he had a bit of a to-do with that Dharmesh Chef as well the other day, I seen. And he comes across as something quite bitter and twisted about him sometimes. We talk about.
He's just a magnet for drama and controversy. Yeah.
I don't really watch Sky Sports News, to be honest with you, because the people on it aren't exactly.
No, exactly. Me neither. That's the problem. Is there's so many other more reliable accounts, like in places like The Athletic, for instance, as well. Sky are typically the last people to actually break this news, and they're just breaking tabloid talk a lot of the time as well. So they've got to do stuff like this to get their ratings up.
Yeah, I follow that for Arno on Twitter. He's so reliable. If it's going to happen, he says it's going to happen. It's going to happen. He's like,
him. There's a German fella called Christian Falk as well. He's really good on German stuff in particular, obviously.
David Ornstein as well for Arsenal. I mean, he's very reliable. You get some of these. Obviously, there are some on Twitter that are so unreliable. You like that Indy Carly. I'm sure you follow him on Indy.
Oh God, him. We could just spend a whole podcast listing these fake accounts, and it's like
Arsenal.
Quite funny, though.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Quite funny. By the way, I'd recommend. I'm watching the Wales game in the background. I'd recommend, if you get a chance, to watch the miss I've just seen. A Finnish fella. I'm not messing. They just missed from about 25 centimetres out.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Never seen anything like it. He's at the post.
We're talking Scott Dan levels of bad for Chelsea.
Much worse. Probably worse than
wow.
It wasn't Timu Pukki. I know that. I don't know who it was, but it wasn't Pukki.
I'm going to get that up now because I have to see that. Yeah.
Another one I've just thought of, my let's all laugh at. It wasn't from this week. You might remember it. It was Paul Ince, funnily enough. It was about the David Silva statue outside the Etihad. And he said, you don't see teams like Arsenal having Thierry.
No,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
Are you serious? I'm saying, them statues I see every game. Who are they? Is that Nicholas Shamak? I don't know.
I heard that. Felt that.
I was like, God, you've been to the Emirates, mate. You not. What are you talking about? Yeah. Bless him.
Oh man, yeah, I saw that. I just thought like, I've been to the Emirates once, and even I didn't even walk past the statues. I went straight to the away end. I mean, even I know that they're there. I mean, it's Henri and who's the other one?
You got Henri, you got Bergkamp, Tony Adams, and Herbert Chapman.
Okay,
And Julia Baptista.
Yeah, Julia Baptista. Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, we haven't got any statues outside Selhurst, unfortunately, because we haven't owned the land for so long, and I don't think that's going to look likely at any point. But there's certainly people. I mean, the one that has been thrown around a lot is Julian Speroni, the new stand as well being named after him. I think that he's such a not just in I think he holds the record for the most clean sheets at the club, and has just been such a lovely guy. Owns a restaurant in the area as well, so he's very much still a part of the Palace family.
I've got a question on that. Will he be wearing tracksuit bottoms?
We're going back to Gabriel Kiwali now. Yeah, that was him.
Yeah,
that was him.
Did he play in goal against Liverpool? Was that Kiwali as well last year?
He did, yeah. He was in the game at Anfield, the 4-3. I said in that game if Guaita had been fit, we would have won that game.
Yeah, that was a mad game, wasn't it?
I mean, that first goal we scored was...
Was that Speroni, was it?
That was Speroni, yeah. He made that mistake.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, Wayne Hennessy makes it every single week, and he kept a clean sheet against Spurs in the FA Cup the next week. So I don't hold it against him at all.
Wales, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that first goal that we scored with Andros Townsend was unbelievable. About 20 passes or something. That's like easily the least Roy Hodgson goal we've ever scored, and it was at Liverpool. Like you haven't lost at home since we beat you there back in 2017, ironically. And we went and we go back playing like that. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Tilt, a question for you, because a friend of mine on Facebook earlier, he's got a signed Wilfried Zaha away shirt with Black Lives Matter on the back. It looks really smart, but
yeah.
Is he the best player ever to play for Crystal Palace? Because that's what he said. He said the best player to ever wear a Palace shirt. And I just want to get your opinion on that. Because is he? Like, I mean, of all the players that have ever played for Palace, including Antonio Lombardo, who was awesome, is he the best player ever?
Well, we haven't had too many world class. We haven't had too many class players, to be fair. So I don't blame him for saying that. I think he certainly has to be in my lifetime. I mean, Antonio Lombardo was slightly before my time, so I can't include him. But I think when you compare him, I mean, again, when he's up against the likes of Lombardo and Ian Wright as well, I think it's got to be between one of those three. But I think that I don't really swing either way on that one, to be honest. I can understand why people are saying it, and obviously a lot of the younger fans are saying it, particularly who haven't experienced the older players. But at the same time, it is a very bold claim, so I don't really want to comment either way on that one. But he is certainly the best Palace player in modern era, I think, and it'll be a big shame to see him go, even if you can argue that we've got to move on from there. But yeah, getting this back on topic, of the three that we've nominated, which one? I think it's close between mine and Dan's. I'm not sure which one I want to go for. So Johnny, what do you think?
Jim White's such a he's something else, isn't he? I think as a fan, I'm not a West Ham fan, but if you said that about Arsenal, I'd be livid. So I'd have to go for Jim White. I think because it's just an outrageous thing to say. I think that's let's all laugh at him, but it's all kind of. But yeah, I'd vote for that. I mean, the Kovac Solikov one is. If he's lied, then he can be sued, couldn't he, for libel? If he's lied.
Yeah, I hope he is, because I mean, ultimately it's a money thing. He's got so much more money than. I mean, Dan's only been recently able to, because he's raising his kids as well. He's only just been able to start doing this full time because of his Patreon donations. So I hope it'll probably have to be crowdfunded, and I hope it is if he wants to go down that route, because
in a few weeks' time or a couple of months' time, if he does go to court and what have you, and he has to pay, then you can do this, and it definitely be less will laugh at Kovac Solikov because he lost his claim. But yeah, for me, I think he's got to be the Jim White, because it's just an outrageous thing to say. Well, I don't even know how he gets airtime anymore. Jim White, he's a dinosaur.
Well, it's the second time he's won this award, so good on him. Possibly the biggest honour of his life. Okay, excellent. So yeah, that's about all we've got time for. Thanks for listening to this episode. Be sure to drop us a like and a follow, whatever platform you're on. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify at Let's All Laugh at a Football Podcast, as well as Twitter at LALA_podcast. Be sure to check out Dan's work on Last Word on Sport and Extra Time Talk and Read Liverpool. Be sure to check out Life's a Pitch. Check out our social media, links in the description as always. Thanks to Dan and Johnny for joining me. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.